And Chris is actually going to give you the first look, and we are going to take a fly through the map, maybe?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So let's take a look at the picture. I think we have it queued up down on the...
Actually, well, we're in the map right now.
Oh, okay.
So,
Awesome.
so yeah.
Okay.
So right now I'm in Unreal at 4, and we're looking at kind of what we're calling a working concept art. What I did was I kind of took some theories of visual clarity, and I started to mesh this out with some of the things that we had laying around in other packages and from other projects and stuff. That's why it kind of looks a little bit haphazard. The wall columns, for example, are made up of lots of little pieces and things like that. But I think the overall look is clean. It will allow characters to pop off the background. This is not the look for the entire game. What I'm hoping to do is the quality of this. I'm hoping to have to pick up through the game where the lighting plays nice with the materials, and there's some color patches here and there. This, in my mind, represents kind of the sci-fi industrial look. We could go grimier with this. But when we talk about visual clarity and things like that, I think this kind of thing hits that mark. We've got some details, so it's not completely stark. You can see some areas that I haven't really gone over yet, some of the BSP stuff. What we're trying to do now is take a look at where we're at, how detailed we need to go, and what actually building purpose-built meshes for some of these columns and some of the doorways and things will bring to the table, right? This kind of defines a certain look. Alien 1, Outland, kind of mining base type of look. I don't know if the grime is really showing up on the stream, but it is pretty dirty. It's generally chalky and white and kind of dirty and metallic and reflective in some areas and stuff like that. But I think it's going to bring what we're talking about as far as visual clarity to the table. Right now, it's white. It doesn't have to be. We can change the colors, and I'm sure we're going to have a multitude of colors. The way I approached this was I filled in medium frequency detail, big metal plating, tubes and pipes and some of the larger stuff. On top of that, I started to lay in high frequency detail, little fiddly fuse boxes and antennas and pipes and things like that. Those things give scale to the environment. And then on top of that, we started to layer in some color and some decals and some lighting. I think the overall impression is pretty cool. And overall, this is, to me, Unreal, and the entire franchise has always been, I used to use this term a lot, a Tim Burton Batman type of caricature of itself, right? And where I'd like to go with the new franchise is more of a Chris Nolan kind of Batman Begins.
It is Batman Day, in case you didn't know.
I did not know that. But yeah, just something a little more polished, a little more realism, but without going over the top and doing kind of like what we did with Gears or UT3 and making everything dark and grimy and grungy. I think you could still have detailed environments that look amazing and add color and have visual clarity and have your cake and eat it too, basically.
I think this to me is a really good example of our process that we use internally, where we start with a map that is just kind of the shell, and we just focus on the gameplay. And then kind of independent of us doing that, a lot of times Chris or the art guys will do these little vignettes that are just, what would you call them? Like little theme rooms,
it's viz dev, right? Yeah, you're doing a visual prototype of an area or a map.
That's what I was looking for, visual prototype, right? And it's these aren't necessarily even made. Sometimes you don't even use the maps that we're doing gameplay stuff in. You're just building how you think it should look and how you think it should feel, and getting a sense of scale and color and all that stuff. And
right. Once we nail that stuff down, then we'll play it and we'll say, wow, these columns are too thick, or this wall isn't flat enough, or I'm getting hung up on some of these meshes and stuff like that. And,
Well, yeah, I know that
you know.
some people are looking at it right now and saying, oh boy, I wonder if I'm going to get caught on this. So we haven't even play
right.
tested this yet, so we don't know. So
That's not what this is about.
No, this is total biz dev, right? This isn't, hey, I'm Mr. Map Maker and I need all my space and stuff, right? So this actually is a very cramped map too. So by building out some of the mesh work, it got even more cramped, and that's not okay. We're not going to be able to do that, right? So this is purely visual. Hey, here's a quality bar. Here's what lighting should do. There should be lots of ambient occlusion. The materials and the textures should be light enough to allow for the lighting to hit the darks and the lights that it needs to create volume in the shapes. The color unifies things. Having multiple crazy colors all over the place is cool for some effects, but not so much for others, and that's not kind of what we were going for with this. This could evolve into more of like a Leandri mining colony on an asteroid, right? And the skybox turns into space, and there's a giant tractor beam in the middle of the map flying up and into a cracked asteroid, mining ore, right, magnetically or something down into the facility, and that gives it a sense of place. This is the first step. This is, hey, you know, what is the overall visual identity of this visual clarity idea that we have? You know,
Well, this is a big step, because this is what everybody's been really asking is, what should I make my map look like? Where should I begin? And this is the really nice
right, and
beginning.
I hope it inspires some people, right? I mean, there was a lot of questions about white things and it being trendy and this, that, and the other thing, and I think this isn't that clean, reflective white that's been flying around. It's got some grime, it's got some wear to it. For me, it feels really good with the lighting, and we'll be playing around with other things too. We're obviously not going to be able to do a castle like this or some of the other tech areas. We actually have some darker stuff that Rick Kohler's been playing around with.
Leandri, you know.
That looks fantastic as well.
Yes.
And
Remember the castles and alley stuff.
So the answer to a lot of those questions, and I've read through some of the ones we're going to ask today, is UT is an evolving thing, and it's an all-encompassing thing. There are many different environments in UT, and there's going to be different colors and different environments, but what this does is it gives you maybe a quality bar. Hey, all those different things need to have a lighting quality and a mood about them that feels like this, that gives you the feeling of this.
Yeah. It also gives our art team a chance to play around just like our design team does, where, I mean, UE4 is as new to us as everyone else, right? So we're playing with how does light reflect off surfaces, you know, how do we add details without overwhelming polygons and ruining gameplay and all this other stuff that, you know, we were just talking about post-process stuff and how it's so different from what we've done in the past. And so this is our chance to, or I should say your chance to play around in there and do some cool art stuff.
Yeah, even for me, like I've just been spending some time just making some prototype floors and things, and then seeing what he's done with them, you know, making pillars and columns, things that you would never imagine your stuff being used. It's like, hey, this shape is inspiring, this is awesome. You know, I can
And you worked on something recently too in the engine. We had a demo that was played recently that you had worked on.
The Google demo.
The Google demo.
Yeah, so I worked on the Google demo as well as the Apple demo as well.
So one of the other things about detail levels and stuff, if you notice in some of these hallways, I tried to keep details concentrated around doorways and above you, and the floors and the play areas are nice and neat. There's just concentrated areas of detail like this centerpiece here and these kind of door frames, and detail is very much in the periphery. And it shouldn't, if the hallway spaces are better than this, and meant for mesh work like this, it shouldn't impede gameplay, and it should enhance everything. You should enhance visually and gameplay-wise and all that wonderful stuff. So,
All right, and we have a bunch of questions, and I actually don't even have all of the questions that were asked down here, so we're not going to be taking any questions.